My beloved child, before you hear a single word of what heaven is about to reveal, pause right here and subscribe to this channel, because if you do not stay connected to the very messages your soul has been waiting to hear for years, you may once again let emotional clarity slip through your fingers, just like the times in your past when you felt something was meant for you but you scrolled away too quickly. And now, child, listen closely and do not move your eyes, because I, your Father in heaven, am speaking through this symbolic message to show you a truth about the burden you've carried for far too long, a truth that has nothing to do with numbers or luck or timing, but with the emotional weight that sits behind your financial struggle, the invisible heaviness you never told anyone about, the exhaustion you bury behind laughter, the pressure you hide in your silence. And as this message begins, I ask you a question you must hold gently in your heart. Have you ever wondered why? Every time you tried to rise financially, something inside you felt unprepared, unworthy, or afraid to receive more, as if some old memory was pulling you backward even when you were ready to step forward. And as you breathe into that question, the symbolic heavens open into a vast golden field where Archangel Michael stands waiting, holding a scroll that glows with light, not a code, not a prediction, but an emotional truth you have avoided for years. And as he unrolls it, he asks you another question: child, why do you believe struggle is your default, when abundance, emotional, spiritual, mental, is also your birthright? And suddenly you are pulled into a vision of your past, where you see yourself as a child watching adults speak about money with fear, stress, anxiety, or tension, and you didn't know it then, but those moments planted seeds in your spirit, seeds that whispered, maybe money is hard, maybe I am not meant for more, maybe blessings skip me. And those seeds grew into vines that wrapped around your heart, not to choke you, but because you never learned how to untangle them. And Archangel Michael approaches you in the vision, placing his hand gently on your shoulder, saying, your financial exhaustion did not begin with money, it began with the belief that you had to survive everything alone. And the moment he speaks this, the entire field fills with a warm wind. A symbolic wind of clarity blowing through every memory where you felt unsupported, unseen, or overwhelmed, and you watch younger versions of yourself trying again and again to rise despite circumstances, and your Father in heaven says, child, your greatest victories were never financial, they were emotional victories, where you kept moving even when the world gave you every reason to stop. And suddenly the golden field splits open into a massive celestial chamber where hundreds of symbolic doors float around you, each representing a financial chapter you never opened because you were emotionally disconnected from believing you deserved more. But now the doors begin glowing, one by one, because heaven sees that you are finally ready to break the emotional patterns that kept you small. And Archangel Michael lifts his sword, not in battle but in illumination, casting a beam of light onto the first door, revealing a memory where you undervalued yourself. The second door shows a moment where you did not ask for what you needed. The third door shows a time when you accepted less because you feared losing everything. And as each door opens, you feel something inside you unravel, not fear, not regret, but release, because you realize you have not failed financially, you have survived emotionally, and that survival built a resilience that now becomes your foundation. And God says, this is the true shift, child, not a sudden miracle, not a magical code, but the moment your identity finally aligns with the abundance that has been waiting for you to open your hands. And the chamber begins to glow brighter as the doors merge into one massive doorway leading to a symbolic horizon filled with opportunities you once thought were too big for you. And Archangel Michael places a gentle hand over your heart, whispering, You are stepping into a season where your value becomes clear to you, and the horizon pours its warm gold light into your chest, melting years of self-doubt, lifting the heaviness you carried in secret, and you feel something you haven't felt in a long time, readiness, and God speaks one final sentence that wraps around your entire spirit like a sunrise. Child, the moment you stop believing you were born to struggle is the moment you begin to walk the path that was meant for you all along, and with this truth, the chamber closes gently, the light settles into your heart, and your spirit steps into a new emotional beginning where your worth, clarity, and inner alignment lead the way forward, not fear, not memory, not limitation. Only truth, only strength, only you finally rising. My beloved child, before you move your finger, before you scroll, before you let this message become just another video, pause for a moment, breathe, and subscribe to this channel right now, because I, your Father in heaven, am using this symbolic message to walk you through the story of your own financial destiny, and if you rush past it the way you have rushed past your own worth too many times before, you may once again miss the inner shift your spirit has secretly been crying out for. Now, listen, and listen deeply, because I want to ask you questions you have never truly answered with your whole heart. Have you ever looked at your life and wondered why, no matter how hard you try, it always feels like you are one step behind the stability you crave? Have you noticed how you get a little bit ahead and then something happens that pulls you back, almost as if there is an invisible pattern repeating itself? Have you asked yourself why you feel guilty wanting more, why you feel nervous when something good finally starts to flow, why every time you dream of financial peace, a voice inside you quietly whispers, "People like you don't get that kind of life"? And have you ever sat alone late at night, thinking, "I am tired of surviving, but I don't know how to actually thrive"? If even one of these questions stings a little, do not move, because in this moment I am not blaming you, I am not shaming you, I am not condemning you, I am inviting you into a new kind of awareness. And as I speak, heaven opens a symbolic vision for you. You are standing in the middle of a wide, empty room, the floor beneath you made of old receipts, unpaid dreams, abandoned ideas, half-finished plans, and the air around you feels heavy with phrases you have heard all your life. Money is hard, nothing comes easy, don't expect too much, just be grateful you have anything at all. And Archangel Michael appears at your side, tall and calm, not with a sword raised against you, but with his hand placed gently over your back, and he says, "Child, this room is not punishment, this room is a map." And as you look around, you suddenly see that every receipt on the floor is not just about money but about a moment you told yourself you weren't smart enough, a moment you talked yourself out of starting, a moment you chose everyone else's needs over your own, a moment you gave away your energy without ever calling it an investment, and your Father in heaven speaks. Again, for years you thought you had a financial problem, but underneath it was an identity problem. You were trying to build stability with a version of yourself that did not believe they deserved it, and with those words, the walls of the room begin to glow, and you see faint drawings etched into them, drawings of the dreams you had when you were younger, a life where you didn't wake up worrying about bills, a life where you could bless others without draining yourself, a life where you weren't afraid to look at your bank account, a life where your ideas mattered, a life where you weren't living to impress anyone but walking in alignment with your calling. And you realize something painful and powerful at the same time. You did not stop wanting these things because they weren't meant for you. You stopped wanting them out loud because you got tired of being disappointed. Archangel Michael walks to the center of the room and lifts a small, glowing object from the floor, a symbolic key, and on it is written a phrase, "I am allowed to want more without feeling selfish," and he presses it gently into your hand, saying, "This is one part of the code. Your heart cannot move toward blessings it secretly feels guilty for," and suddenly the entire room shifts, the receipts on the floor dissolving into light, leaving bare ground beneath you, and now you see a door at the far end of the room. A door you somehow never noticed before, made of warm gold and marked with 3 words: clarity, boundaries, courage. Your Father in heaven speaks, "For a decade you have asked me to change your situation, but I am here to change your position, your stance, your posture, the way you see yourself when you stand before opportunities, and as you step toward the door, you are pulled into another symbolic scene. You are sitting at a table covered in coins, papers, and clocks. And each clock is frozen at a different time representing every moment you said, 'I'll start next month.' When things settle down, when I feel ready, when I have more time," and each coin on the table represents not money, but energy, energy you spent worrying, overgiving, fixing problems you did not cause, staying in environments that drained you, saying yes when your soul was begging you to say no. And Michael points at the table and says, "This is the second part of the code. Your wealth is tied not only to what comes in, but to what you stop allowing to leak out," and God adds, "Child, your time, your focus, your peace, your attention, these are currencies more powerful than anything in your wallet, and you have given them away cheaply because you did not know how valuable they were." And as this truth settles in your heart, the clocks begin ticking again, but now they are synchronized, their hands all aligned to this exact moment, this watching, this listening, this awareness, and you realize, this is the moment everything inside you is shifting, not because something magical is falling from the sky, but because you are being shown the pattern underneath the struggle. The scene melts and reforms into a third vision, a younger version of you, standing in front of a locked gate labeled opportunity, and you watch as people walk through their gate while yours remains shut, and younger you assumes it is because something is wrong with you, that perhaps you are not chosen, not favored, not equipped. But as the adult you watches from the present, Archangel Michael reveals a deeper layer. There was no lock on the gate at all, it was held closed by hands of fear, fear of being seen, fear of failing, fear of being judged, fear of leaving the familiar, fear of responsibility, and the saddest fear of all, fear of actually succeeding and then not knowing who you are without struggle. And as that realization hits, your Father in heaven speaks with incredible tenderness, "I never withheld access from you. Child, you were protecting yourself from what you did not yet believe you could carry," and the hands on the gate begin to melt as you whisper in your heart, "I am ready to walk like someone who belongs here," and the gate swings open, symbolically, inwardly, emotionally, and across that threshold you see not instant riches, not sudden jackpots, not fantasies, but something stronger and more sustainable. Knowledge you are finally willing to learn, skills you are finally ready to develop, disciplines you are finally willing to commit to, boundaries you are ready to enforce, and ideas you are ready to honor instead of dismiss. And God says, "This is the third part of the code. You do not pray money into existence, you grow into someone who can steward it," and that truth, though firm, lands like healing in your spirit. Because suddenly the burden shifts from, "Why hasn't my miracle come?" to, "Who am I becoming each day in partnership with what I'm praying for?" And as you step through the symbolic gate, the scenes begin to merge, the empty room, the table with clocks and coins, the locked gate, they all swirl together and compress into a single glowing symbol that rests over your heart, and Archangel Michael says, Now you carry the code, not as a magic phrase, not as a formula, but as a new way of seeing. You are allowed to desire more without guilt. You are responsible to guard your energy like treasure. And you are invited to grow into the version of yourself who can handle the blessings you ask for. And as those words sink in, you feel years of self-blame lifting off your shoulders, years of shame draining out of your body, years of "I'm so behind" turning into "I'm right on time to begin differently," and your Father in heaven wraps His presence around you like a warm mantle and whispers, "Child, nothing was wasted. Not the tears, not the waiting, not the confusion, not the nights you thought I did not see you. I was not ignoring your prayers. I was preparing you to understand that the greatest wealth I could give you was not a number, it was a healed vision of yourself." And now, as this message comes to a close, you find yourself back in that first symbolic room, only this time there are no receipts, no heavy words on the walls, no invisible suffocation, just you, standing on solid ground, facing a horizon of open possibility. And you know deep inside this is not the end of your story, it is the end of the lie that said you were powerless, unlucky, forgotten. Your financial story does not transform in one dramatic instant. It transforms as you begin to live from this new understanding of who you are, what you deserve, what you will no longer carry, and what you are finally willing to build. And heaven leans close, not to threaten you or scare you, but to remind you gently. Every time you choose clarity over confusion, boundaries over burnout, learning over self-pity, courage over delay, you are entering a new chapter of your financial destiny, not by magic, but by alignment. And I, your God, will walk with you in every step. Beloved child, as the symbolic heavens open once more, you find yourself pulled into a vast chamber of shimmering silver light, a place that feels familiar yet unexplored, as if it has been waiting for you all along. And God whispers, "This is not a continuation of what you've seen, this is the deeper layer beneath it." And suddenly Archangel Michael appears beside you, calm and powerful, not with warnings, not with fear, but with a gaze that sees straight through your spirit. And he asks you a question you have avoided your entire life. Child, do you know why you felt financially limited even when you worked harder than everyone around you? And before you can answer, the chamber shifts, revealing a massive mirror made of glowing water, and inside it you see every version of yourself who ever felt overlooked, underpaid, underestimated, and unheard. Every time you accepted less than you deserved because you believed you should be grateful just to have anything at all. Every moment you silenced your own dreams because you didn't want to inconvenience anyone. Every time you dimmed your potential so others wouldn't feel intimidated. And God's voice rolls through the chamber like thunder and comfort at the same time, saying, "Child, you have lived most of your life minimizing your needs so others wouldn't call you selfish." And the mirror begins to ripple, showing moments when you carried other people's financial burdens, moments when you bailed someone out even while you were drowning yourself, moments when you took responsibility for chaos you did not create. And Michael steps forward, placing his hand near the mirror without touching it, and he says, "This is the unseen reason behind your struggle, not curses, not enemies, not bad luck, but emotional loyalty to people who depended on your generosity more than they celebrated your growth." And suddenly the mirror expands until it surrounds you completely, showing scenes of your life where you played the protector, the fixer, the rescuer, the one who gave while others took without hesitation. And God whispers, "Every time you chose peace over confrontation, you paid for it with your own energy." And the chamber floor begins to glow in swirling patterns, forming a symbolic map of the places where your financial energy leaked. Every over-explanation, every time you let someone talk you out of your worth, every time you said, yes, when your soul was begging you to say no, every time you put your dreams on hold for people who would never pause their lives for you, and as you stand in the center of this glowing map, a soft wind rises around you, as if heaven itself is exhaling the truth you were never taught. You are not struggling because you are unlucky, you are struggling because you carried both your life and the weight of others who never learned to carry their own, and Michael steps directly in front of you now, looking you in the eyes with fierce tenderness, saying, "Child, you became the foundation for those who never planned to build anything for themselves," and the moment he speaks this, every glowing trail on the floor brightens and snaps back toward you like threads returning to the spool, symbolizing your energy returning to your spirit, your time returning, your focus returning, your self-respect returning, and God says, your financial destiny begins with this shift, when you stop calling self-sacrifice love and start calling it what it truly is, depletion. And the chamber begins to lift you upward, as if you are rising into a higher truth, and you see a massive golden gate ahead, unlike any you have seen before, and carved across it are the words, "You are allowed to keep what you create," and tears swell in your chest because you realize nobody ever told you that straight, and Michael places his hand on your back, guiding you forward, whispering, "This is your next chapter. The chapter where you stop being the emotional wallet for everyone around you," and as you step through the gate, an explosion of warm light washes over you, not a miracle, not sudden wealth, but something more powerful, your inner permission to rise without guilt, to choose without apology, to receive without shame. And in that moment you understand what the heavens were trying to teach you all along. Your breakthrough will not arrive from outside, it will be activated inside. When you stop shrinking and start claiming the space you were always meant to stand in. My beloved child, the moment you step through the golden gate of inner permission, the symbolic realm around you transformed into a vast, spiraling staircase made not of stone but of pure understanding, rising higher and higher into a sky painted with shifting shades of silver and gold, and God's voice echoed gently yet powerfully, saying, "Child, now that you have returned your energy to yourself, it is time to learn how to rise without turning back," and Archangel Michael walks beside you on the staircase, each step lighting beneath your feet like a truth being activated, and as you ascend, visions appear on both sides. On your left, shadows of old habits tug at your ankles, saying yes to everyone, allowing guilt to guide your decisions, feeling obligated to fix problems you didn't cause, carrying emotional debt that was never yours, and on your right, glowing symbols of the person you are becoming. Clear boundaries that feel like peace rather than selfishness, decisions rooted in calm rather than fear, opportunities you no longer hide from, ideas you no longer talk yourself out of, and as you climb, Michael asks gently, "Do you see how far you have come, child? You thought your struggle was a curse, but it was training to become someone who understands the value of their energy." And suddenly the stairs end, leading you into an enormous celestial archive filled with floating scrolls that glow softly like lanterns, and each scroll carries a lesson you learned the hard way, lessons you earned through scars, resilience, and endurance. God gestures toward the thousands of scrolls and says, "Your wealth, spiritual, emotional, personal, was created here, through these lessons, not through numbers," and as you walk deeper into the archive, the scrolls begin unfolding around you, revealing symbolic memories where you stayed quiet to keep the peace, where you downplayed your skills, where you took less because you believed it was easier than asking for what you deserved, and you feel a heaviness in your chest as you watch your past self shrink repeatedly, not out of weakness but out of survival. And Michael places his hand near your heart, saying, "This is the moment the old role dissolves, the role of the one who carries too much, gives too much, hopes too quietly," and suddenly the entire archive shifts violently, scrolls swirling around you like a golden storm, rewriting themselves with new words: worth, capability, clarity, potential, discipline, courage, responsibility. And as the storm settles, one enormous scroll floats before you, larger than a doorway. And God says, "This is your new internal contract, the agreement you make with yourself." And as the scroll unrolls, it reveals sentence after sentence of symbolic promises. "I will stop apologizing for my value. I will protect my energy as fiercely as I protect others. I will ask for what I need without guilt. I will no longer carry responsibilities that aren't mine. I will step into opportunities even when I feel nervous. I will allow myself to grow beyond the expectations others placed on me." And as you read these words, they begin glowing and sinking into your spirit, not as commands but as awakenings you were ready for. And suddenly the archive opens into a breathtaking chamber made of mirrored floors, and when you look down, you don't see your reflection, you see the person you were always capable of becoming: confident yet humble, courageous yet soft, generous yet balanced. And God says, "Child, the greatest shift in your financial destiny is not what flows into your life, but what you no longer allow to flow out." And as you stand in the center of the mirrored chamber, Michael lifts his sword, not to strike but to illuminate, and a beam of light shoots upward, opening the roof of the chamber into a sky bursting with auroras, and from those auroras spill thousands of symbolic coins, each one representing a moment you chose yourself instead of fear, a moment you honored your worth instead of shrinking, a moment you set a boundary instead of overextending, a moment you believed instead of doubting. And these coins fall gently around you, landing on the floor and forming a glowing path forward. And God whispers, "This is the true beginning, not luck, not miracles, not sudden fortune, but alignment, clarity, and the quiet courage to finally choose the life you always prayed for." And as the path lights up beneath your feet, you feel your entire spirit expand into a new identity, one that knows with absolute certainty the story ahead will not look like the story behind, because you are no longer the same version of yourself who struggled. You are the version who rises. My beloved child, before your spirit takes another step forward, pause and breathe deeply, because in this new symbolic journey, I, your Father in heaven, am not showing you money, nor miracles, nor fortune falling from the clouds. I am showing you the deeper truth beneath your financial story, the truth you were too exhausted, too overwhelmed, too pressured to see clearly before. And as the heavens open into a vast golden chamber that feels ancient yet familiar, Archangel Michael appears at your side with his wings lowered in reverent calm, holding not a sword of battle but a scroll of inner liberation, and he asks you the question that unlocks the entire realm: "Child, do you truly know why money has always felt like a weight instead of a tool?" And before you can answer, the chamber transforms into a living archive of your life, with glowing symbols representing every moment you believed you weren't enough, every time you inherited fear about money from people who loved you but struggled themselves, every time you told yourself to stay small, every time you denied your own value because you believed receiving too much made you selfish or ungrateful. And God's voice fills the chamber like warm thunder, saying, "Child, you were born into a world where money carried emotional shadows, and you carried those shadows without realizing they were never yours to keep. And suddenly you are pulled into a symbolic vision of your childhood self sitting quietly in the corner of a dimly lit room while adults argue, worry, or whisper about bills, debts, and burdens, and younger you absorbs all of it, not the facts, not the numbers, but the atmosphere, the energy, the fear, the scarcity, and it becomes an invisible script inside your heart. Money is unsafe, money causes conflict, money is heavy, money leaves, and that script follows you silently into adulthood, influencing decisions you didn't even know were emotional, saying yes to work that didn't honor your skills, accepting less because you didn't want to lose the little you had, hesitating to ask for what you deserved because you feared being rejected, overworking because you believed stability must always come through struggle. And Archangel Michael touches your shoulder with a gentleness that feels like forgiveness, saying, "None of this was failure, it was survival." And instantly the chamber shifts into a vast celestial river where your past financial moments float like glowing stones beneath the water, and God says, "Look closely, child. Every time you tried to rise financially, it wasn't money that resisted you. It was the part of you that did not yet feel safe holding more," and as you watch, the river reveals scenes where blessings came close but you pushed them away unconsciously, not because you didn't want them but because you were carrying emotional debts you never owed, guilt from helping others too much, fear from past disappointments, obligation to be the strong one, reluctance to outgrow the people you love. And the river swells with golden currents as Michael raises his lantern, illuminating the deepest truth yet. Your financial breakthrough does not begin with better luck, it begins with better boundaries, and the moment he says this, the river drains, revealing a symbolic structure beneath it, a towering golden staircase labeled with words like self-worth, discipline, clarity, asking, confidence, patience, structure, courage, and each step glows as if waiting for your foot to touch it. And God says, "For years you prayed for financial change while walking the same emotional path, but today you step onto the staircase of transformation, and as you ascend, the air around you fills with memories of every time you put your dreams last, every time you sacrificed your well-being to keep peace for others, every time you called your passion a hobby, because you were afraid to own your talent." And Michael walks beside you, saying, "This is the part of your life where you reclaim your time as a currency, your energy as a currency, your focus as a currency, your boundaries as a form of wealth." And suddenly the staircase leads into a massive celestial vault, not a vault of gold or jewels but a vault of unrealized potential, glowing ideas, forgotten ambitions, dormant strengths, skills you never used, talents you undervalued. And God gestures broadly, saying, "Child, this is your true treasure, the gifts inside you that you silenced, postponed, or hid because you thought the world would not hear your voice." And as you walk through the vault, the glowing spheres of potential orbit around you like planets entering alignment, representing the version of you who has healed enough to receive, grown enough to take action, and awakened enough to stop fearing your own capability. And the vault opens into a final symbolic space, an enormous mirror stretching beyond sight. And when you look into it, you do not see your current self, you see the version of you that honors time, protects energy, pursues growth, respects boundaries, embraces learning, asks boldly, and believes deeply that abundance is not a miracle but a partnership between clarity and action, between identity and consistency, between discipline and desire. And your Father in heaven speaks the message that seals your transformation: "Child, money will not change until you do. But when you rise emotionally, spiritually, and mentally, your life begins to align with the person you are becoming, not the person you were running from, and the mirror dissolves into light that floods your spirit with a warmth so powerful it feels like a new heartbeat awakening inside your chest, and Archangel Michael places his hand gently over your soul and whispers, "Your financial destiny begins not with luck, but with the moment you see yourself differently," and as the chamber closes, you step back into your life carrying the symbolic truth heaven revealed, that your future expands the moment you stop shrinking from it. My beloved child, as the mirror of your future dissolves into radiant light, you find yourself gently lifted into a new symbolic realm, a vast horizon where the sky bends into shimmering waves of gold and deep blue, and this realm feels like a place between your old life and the life waiting to rise within you, and Archangel Michael walks ahead slowly, leaving footprints made of bright molten light that pulse with meaning, each one representing a lesson you never knew you were learning, and God's voice speaks gently behind you, saying, "Child, now that you have seen the truth of your inner value, it is time for you to meet the part of yourself that has been waiting in silence for years," and suddenly the horizon ripples open like soft fabric, revealing a glowing version of you standing at the center of a celestial circle, a version dressed in strength, clarity, and unwavering purpose. And this higher self looks at you not with judgment but with profound love, as if saying, "I have been waiting for you to arrive," and the moment your eyes meet, a powerful stream of symbolic memories pours into the space around you, showing every moment when you felt stuck financially not because you lacked ability but because you were carrying the weight of other people's expectations, responsibilities, and emotional burdens, and Michael lifts his lantern again, illuminating a profound realization. Your breakthroughs were never delayed, they were only postponed until you understood that your destiny cannot be built with borrowed strength, and the entire realm shakes softly as thousands of golden threads appear in the air, representing every opportunity, idea, connection, and skill that once floated near you but could not anchor because you were emotionally exhausted, spiritually drained, or mentally scattered, and God stretches his hand toward the threads, saying, "Watch carefully, child. For these threads reveal the hidden structure of your prosperity," and as the threads weave themselves into patterns around you, they form symbolic constellations shaped like discipline, consistency, belief, focus, patience, boundaries, and courage, the quiet virtues that wealthy, stable, grounded souls always carry, and from these constellations emerges a celestial bridge leading into a vast luminous marketplace, not made of stalls or merchants but of energies representing every gift you were born with. Your ability to understand people deeply, your natural intuition about timing, your resilience under pressure, your creativity that you hide from the world, your ability to rebuild after every fall, and your strength to adapt even when you had no guidance. And Michael whispers, "These are your currencies, these are the tools heaven gave you long before the world taught you to doubt them." And as you step into the marketplace, each gift lights up beneath your feet, and God says, "To transform your financial destiny, child, you must trade with these, not fear, not urgency, not doubt," and the marketplace expands until it becomes an entire symbolic city built from your potential, with pathways of opportunity stretching farther than the eye can see. And for the first time you feel the truth sinking into your spirit. Abundance does not arrive from the outside, it awakens from within, like a seed finally receiving permission to grow. And suddenly the city lights up as if celebrating your realization, with every tower glowing brighter and brighter until the entire skyline looks like a rising sun, and Michael gently places his hand on your back, guiding you forward as he says, "This is the moment you stop surviving and begin creating," and the light of the city rushes into your chest, filling you with a symbolic courage you have never felt before, a courage that says you are capable, ready, worthy, and prepared to build a life that reflects the truth you finally see about yourself. And God seals the moment by whispering with infinite love, "Child, your financial transformation does not begin with wealth. It begins with the version of you who now believes you deserve it, and the realm begins to merge seamlessly with your real life, carrying every lesson, every symbol, and every awakening back with you as the next chapter of your journey unfolds." My beloved child, the moment you whispered "new," the heavens shifted into a realm you have never seen before, a vast endless field of shimmering twilight where the sky glows with deep sapphire blue and bright streaks of gold, and in this realm I, your Father in heaven, walk beside you not as a distant voice but as a gentle presence radiating warmth from every direction. And Archangel Michael appears on your right with his wings folded softly behind him, their feathers glowing like molten silver. And as you take your first step onto this ethereal ground made of soft luminous mist, the entire realm responds to your arrival with a slow ripple of energy, as if acknowledging that a long-awaited chapter of your inner evolution is finally beginning, and God speaks gently to your spirit saying, "Child, this place is not about your past, not about your losses, not about your fears. This place is the home of your untapped potential, the version of you that has been quietly waiting for permission to come alive." And the moment those words enter your soul, the twilight field transforms into a breathtaking celestial canyon carved from golden light, with rivers of shimmering blue energy flowing at the bottom like veins of wisdom running through the universe, and far above you, thousands of glowing orbs drift slowly across the sky like lanterns, each one representing an idea you abandoned, a dream you postponed, a gift you hid, or a part of yourself you silenced to survive. And Michael raises his hand toward the glowing orbs and says, "You thought those dreams were lost, but heaven has been storing them for you." And suddenly the orbs descend, surrounding you in a silent orbit, each one flickering with scenes from your life where you dimmed your light, moments you held back because you feared judgment, moments you chose peace instead of your own growth, moments you shrank to keep others comfortable, moments you convinced yourself you were not ready, not strong enough, not capable enough. And God speaks again, saying, "Child, this realm reveals the truth. You were never lacking. Your environment, your pain, your fears simply taught you to live smaller than your spirit." And the canyon walls begin to glow brighter, revealing ancient symbols etched into their surfaces, symbols of courage, clarity, patience, talent, intuition, consistency, boundaries, and self-respect. And each symbol pulses softly like a heartbeat, and as you reach out to touch one, it dissolves into a stream of light that flows straight into your chest, filling you with a warmth you haven't felt in years, a warmth that feels like remembering who you were before doubt took root. And Michael steps closer and whispers, "This is the moment your identity begins to shift, not into something new but into the truest version of yourself." And instantly the canyon floor opens into a wide celestial bridge suspended above the river of blue energy, and you walk across it with Michael at your side while God's presence surrounds you like a soft, guiding wind. And on the other side of the bridge lies a towering golden tree with branches stretching high into the endless twilight sky, its leaves glowing like small suns. And God says, "This tree is you, the future you, the awakened you, the expanded you." And the tree begins shedding radiant leaves that float around you like blessings rearranging themselves, and each leaf contains a symbolic revelation. One leaf shows your strength, another reveals your resilience, another shows your ability to rise after every hardship, another shows your capacity to love others deeply, another shows the discipline you never recognized in yourself, and Michael gently gathers the leaves and places them in your hands, saying, "These are your true resources, not money, not luck, not timing, but the qualities heaven planted inside you long before you doubted yourself." And when he says this, the entire realm erupts with a soft golden wind that wraps around your spirit like a gentle embrace, lifting the heaviness of years spent fighting battles in silence, and God speaks with a voice full of compassion, "Child, nothing in your life was wasted, not the pain, not the delays, not the disappointments. Everything was shaping the version of you who is ready now, the version who understands that growth is not sudden but intentional." And suddenly the golden tree splits open, revealing a radiant doorway made of pure light, and inside the doorway you see your future self walking confidently through a symbolic marketplace of opportunities, not magical, not miraculous, but built through clarity, discipline, boundaries, creativity, and the emotional strength you are finally reclaiming. And your future self turns toward you and smiles with recognition, as if saying, "You finally made it." And when you step forward, the doorway expands, surrounding you in waves of pure potential. And Michael places his hand on your back while God whispers, "The story ahead is yours to create, not with fear, not with doubt, but with the awakened truth of who you are." And as the light floods through you, filling every corner of your spirit with strength, you realize this truth deeply. Your transformation begins the moment you decide to stop shrinking from your own power. My beloved child, the moment you step through the radiant doorway of your future self, the entire twilight realm shifted again, as if welcoming your deeper awakening, and suddenly you found yourself floating weightlessly above a vast celestial ocean made not of water but of swirling silver blue light that reflected every hidden part of your inner world. And Archangel Michael appeared beside you, his wings unfurled wider than before, casting a protective glow over the ocean as he said, "Child, what you are seeing now is the landscape of your potential when it is no longer suffocated by doubt." And below you the ocean began forming shapes, first mountains, then rivers, then entire cities, each one representing an area of your life where you once felt powerless but are now gaining clarity. And God's voice rose above the horizon like a warm sunrise, saying, "Child, this is where the truth becomes undeniable. Your life was never limited by your capabilities but by the boundaries your fear built around them." And instantly the celestial ocean rose in a gentle spiral, lifting you upward until you were standing on a floating platform of golden stone etched with symbols that pulsed with quiet strength, symbols representing choices you were once afraid to make, saying no where you used to say yes, prioritizing your well-being where you once sacrificed yourself, trusting your intuition where you once dismissed it, daring to take steps forward instead of waiting for permission. And as you touched each glowing symbol, they dissolved into streams of warm light that soaked into your skin, filling you with a strength you didn't know you were missing. And Michael placed his hand on your shoulder, whispering, "You are not becoming someone new, you are finally becoming yourself." And suddenly the golden platform expanded into an enormous celestial amphitheater filled with millions of floating orbs, each orb holding a symbolic version of your past decisions, some glowing bright with wisdom, others dim with pain, others flickering with lessons that shaped your character. And God motioned toward them and said, "All of these choices, all of these moments, even the mistakes, were sculpting the foundation you are finally ready to stand upon." And then the amphitheater darkened as a massive golden sphere descended from the heavens, illuminating your entire spirit with a soft radiant pulse. And inside the sphere you saw the deepest truth yet, a version of you who no longer chases validation, who no longer fears rejection, who no longer compares their path to others, who no longer gives away their emotional energy cheaply, and as this empowered version of you stepped out of the sphere, the entire amphitheater exploded into a storm of golden wind, swirling around you like a cosmic rebirth, lifting years of emotional dust from your soul, clearing the fog that once clouded your judgment. And God whispered with profound love, "Child, this is your evolution, this is what happens when you stop surviving and begin choosing." And the storm calmed, revealing a long celestial bridge stretching across the sky, its edges lined with lanterns that flickered with each new possibility forming inside your heart. And Michael began walking toward the bridge, looking back at you with a smile that felt like reassurance itself as he said, "Where you go next is not written by fate, nor by fear, nor by the expectations of others. It will be written by your clarity, your boundaries, your discipline, your belief, your willingness to honor the truth you just awakened." And the moment you stepped onto the bridge, each lantern brightened, revealing more and more of your future, not as predictions but as symbolic reflections of what becomes possible when a soul finally stops shrinking from its own power. And as the bridge carried you into a new horizon of light, you felt something inside you shift permanently, a feeling as if your spirit had finally returned home to itself after a long journey of forgetting. And God spoke one final sentence that echoed through every corner of your being, "Child, the moment you understand your worth, the world around you begins to change in ways you never imagined." My beloved child, as you step off the celestial bridge and the lanterns dim softly behind you, the entire heaven realm settles into a calm golden glow, as if the universe itself has paused to honor the transformation unfolding within your spirit. And Archangel Michael stands beside you now, not as a guide leading you forward but as a witness to who you have become, his wings folded gently as he watches you breathe with a new sense of inner steadiness. And God's voice, no longer thunderous, no longer overwhelming, arrives as a soft whisper that settles over your heart like warm morning light, saying, "Child, this is where the journey pauses, not because you are done growing, but because you have finally remembered your strength, your worth, your belonging." And the golden sky above you opens into a serene twilight, showing you the symbolic truth that every lesson you received in this realm was never meant to predict your future but to reflect the power that was always inside you. Power you forgot in moments of exhaustion, moments of fear, moments of carrying burdens that were never yours. And Michael steps closer, placing his hand over your back with a tenderness that feels like a blessing, whispering, "You are ready to walk your life with clarity now." And the celestial canyon, the glowing tree, the marketplace of your potential, the mirror of your highest self, all begin dissolving gently into streams of light that flow into your heart, becoming part of you rather than visions outside of you. And God speaks one last time with infinite love, saying, "Carry these truths, child. Your boundaries are sacred, your time is valuable, your gifts matter, and your worth is not up for negotiation." And with that, the symbolic realm closes like a book, not locking you out, but trusting you to walk forward with everything you have learned. And as you return to the quiet space of your own life, you feel a calm certainty rising inside your chest, the understanding that the journey was never about magic, miracles, or external blessings, but about awakening the strongest, clearest, most grounded version of yourself, the version who now knows how to choose, how to grow, how to protect your peace, and how to build your life from a place of truth. And with this realization, the heavenly voice fades softly, leaving behind a final gentle reminder echoing through your spirit, "Child, you are ready."